Guys, this is Charles from SentiFX.com. Just want to say that we had a really great trading week last week. Made lots of pips, especially in the dollar-yen pairs. We sold it short, we bought it long, and we scalped it for profit. And also, one of the members had found, based on sentiment, that the pound dollar was a sell. There was a break in market structure and there was a sell signal that was triggered. So there was lots of profit to be made on that trade as well. This week we're going to cover with members, we're going to look at seasonality. Since we're at the end of the month, we're going to look at some trading opportunities based on seasonal patterns, and we're also going to take a look at trap traders and how that relates to market structure. So if you're interested in joining us, go to SentiFX.com and click the join button at the top right corner. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started with our analysis for the upcoming weeks. Okay, let's take a look at sentiment for since the beginning of the week and how the week kind of played out. The pairs that we tended to focus on this last week were the dollar yen and the dollar franc. As the week started progressing, the dollar yen had crossed over the x-axis, and so as you know, that is a sell signal because it means that retail is starting to shift their positioning, and now they're starting to be more interested in buying, which we obviously want to be selling. And as dollar yen moved into the strong sell, we were able to make a quick profit on the sell side of that trade. As the week started progressing forward, we see a shift back over the x-axis and then towards the y-axis and then into the strong buy. As this started happening, we saw a new structure high being made in the dollar yen and a pullback. And I had an entry that I shared with members that was literally like to the tick of entry as far as going long. Dollar yen, I had two scale ends. The first one was at structure, the second one was at trapped shorts, and it was a perfect entry between the two, made lots of profit as the move progressed upward. And this was an easy trade because we already saw that the sentiment had shifted to a sell and then started shifting to a buy. We saw the structure break. We knew that the highest probability was that this was going to make a new structure high, and it did, and we made lots of profit. I also had someone ask about scalping the Asian session, and I did a blog post about that if you want to check it out on the site. Basically, since we were buyers at this point, okay, we can see that all of the sentiments based on the week, we were buyers at this point, so we want to buy. If you're scalping the Asian session, you want to buy any stops on the 1 minute chart. So wherever the lows are on the 1 minute chart, you want to buy every single one of those. And if you were following in Forex Factory, you can see that I already had targets set up. Granted, I was just trying to show this one guy how to scalp the session. I got in, got out, made 18 points within minutes, really. And if I was going to swing trade that particular trade and I just wanted these perfect entries, I could have just left the positions on and let it run and all the targets would have been hit. The only reason I did not was because it was Thursday evening and I was just trying to prove a point that you can scalp easily using our tool, and it was a success. And if you were in the trade, you could have held to those targets and then made the full profit all the way. Okay, we have the US dollar. It's steadily grinding upward. This is really a choppy trade. I mean, there's no clear direction here. We're looking at the weekly chart now. This is just kind of grinding its way upward, so I mean, you could probably expect stops to keep getting taken above and below until the dollar actually chooses a direction. Okay, our dollar yen. This was a very interesting trade for us this week, and we're kind of at a standstill as far as direction. Okay, what we have is potential for something like this to happen, and it can also just kind of pull back, bounce, and take out stops below. So what is going to guide our decisions here? We're going to look towards sentiment and market structure. Okay, if it seems like retail is heavily trying to sell this down, the market makers are going to take their stops and then probably move it all the way upward. Okay, if it looks like retail is trying to buy here, expecting some kind of bounce like this, you can expect more of a downward push, a pullback, and move to take the downward stops. Again, this is over a multi-week period, so this isn't going to happen right away, but you kind of have to be cognizant of what's going on in the big picture to be able to trade the smaller time frames. Euro dollar is actually, as we know, for the most part, opposite of the US dollar index, and it is also grinding steadily downward. There's no clear direction here. Probably the only area of interest was maybe this bounce here. It's kind of pulling back in, but until it has like a clear breakdown and then a pullback, I wouldn't really get too excited about a downward move yet. Dollar CAD, this one's really interesting for me. Main reason is over the last few weeks, we had this kind of uptrend, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher low, and then an attempt at a higher high, but it failed because we have a new structure low at this point. So since we made a new low here, and we had a pullback to our trap traders in this area, it looks like there was immediate kind of sell-off and a pullback again. So I'm kind of eyeing this up to take out the lows here to make a new low. So over the next few weeks, I'm really going to be looking for short side of the dollar CAD. Again, we got to kind of guide our decisions based on sentiment, because it could push down, could push up, could bounce around in here before making a move like this. So we're going to look at sentiment and just kind of go opposite retail, but we're really going to look for, whenever retail is trying to go long, our big directional push here is going to be on the short side. Our pound dollar is also an interesting trade at the moment. We kind of got mixed signals here because you cleared out all these stops on the left hand side, and then you had a push upward, and then it cleared out these stops, and then we had a push higher to grab the stops here, but it wasn't a strong enough push to push through and then bounce and then go up. So as soon as we started breaking down again through this little area here, you can see it kind of bounced right there. We should have been looking for shorts. We had this downward push. We kind of took out some stops there, and then it had an immediate bounce upward, and again we're getting towards the trap traders up here, and then a sell-off. Okay, so I'm expecting this pair to actually continue south. I'm going to look for an entry somewhere up in here, and I'm definitely looking for stops over this next week to be taken out right there. So what will happen over the following weeks, we'll just have to play it play by play, but we're looking for shorts for the pound dollar. And the dollar franc, this one is not so interesting to me. Kind of got to keep an eye on what's happening with the dollar yen. As you know, the dollar franc typically tracks the dollar yen because of the safe haven aspect of those currencies, the franc and the yen. But as far as like the weekly chart here, we're kind of at balance. Okay, we keep seeing moves up and down. It's kind of hovering around. It seems like somewhere around this area. It's like the value area. So somewhere around here, price is just oscillating up and down, up and down, up and down, and it keeps kind of going back to this area and bouncing away over and over and over again. So it's easy to get chopped up when something, a currency is moving in these kind of directions, because really the only strategy is, you could be a seller somewhere up here all the way to up here, and you'd be a buyer, down here at any of these levels. So that would really be the only way to play this. And again, you can look at sentiment to kind of make those decisions, but I would probably stay out of this pair unless you really know what you're doing and you know how to trade value like this. The Australian dollar is, also grinding down. It's making lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, possibly lower high here. We'll see if it next lower low, but there's plenty of good stop opportunities here, so I would guess that it's going to go ahead and penetrate through this. Again, the Australian dollar is opposite of the yen in that when there's risk on, people are willing to take more risk. They will go long the Australian dollar, and then if there's risk off, the yen actually gets stronger. So you could kind of use those two as a guide to play off of each other. And our New Zealand dollar, with our New Zealand dollar here, you kind of have the same kind of downward momentum. We took out stops here, had a short bounce, and then immediately just kind of bounced back to this area where people were trapped and then pulled down. This one also is not very clear direction at the moment, but the Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar typically track each other because they have similar economies. And so you could use one as a guide to trade the other. The more likely event here is for these bottom stops to get taken out, mainly because it looks like there's clear stops here that want to be taken. There's a big liquidity pool here, and price may push through this into that pool before responding. And so this is really close to that area on the New Zealand dollar, so it may just go ahead and push right through. Thanks for watching our video. If you're interested in just getting updates for when there's new video releases or any trade tips, you can subscribe to our email. If you want to join us and join our community, you can go to SentiFX.com and click join.